Would you believe me if I told you I was ready to go on time tonight? Only just as I was about to click the change the angle button, you know, one of my kids got out of bed. Right, let's move my, there we go, little thing above my camera to stop that. You remember that glare that used to come right down? It's from my light above me. Good evening. Who have we got in today? Don't forget to shout out in the comments. Speaking of shout outs, let me give a quick shout out to Reese, and also a shout out to Tim and Wayne for being my third tier and above patrons. Thank you very much for that. These shows wouldn't happen without you. And speaking of this show, Conquest. I have magazines this week, so I won't have to try and speed paint a Reaver. Oh, that was a hell of a show. That was brilliant though, it was fun. But yeah, I think I'd much rather go through a magazine. So we can have a chat. We'll have an open up the Reavers, and not only do I have issue number 7. I know it's a little bit, you know, it's about 4 weeks behind, but you know, it's just when I get the deliveries. But we have a folder to have a look at this time, and that means that during this show we've got magazines to put in a folder. And we got some washers in with this magazine, as you can see. So we have some more painting to do at the bottom end of this show. You loved it. Well, yeah, I did like it. And actually, Wayne, I tell you what, I will bring that with me on Saturday to the club, so you can actually have a look at that properly in the flesh. I don't actually know, can somebody remind me, did I put a picture of that on my Instagram? And normally it will then get shared to Facebook and Twitter as well. I've forgotten if I actually did that last week. Good evening, Tim. Thank you very much for joining me. It's going to be quite a jam-packed show this week, so I'm quite looking forward to this show. And don't forget, while we're on the in the build-up to the show, viewers models are right here. We got one from @ChickPaints there on Instagram. They will cycle through as we go through them, and also the library will eventually build up. Don't forget to post them onto my Facebook using the hashtag either BofOPS Live, then that side of the microphone, BofOPS Live, BofOPS Conquest if it's a Conquest model. So that's going to be fun. Feel free if you want them there. Don't forget, you can still post your models onto my Facebook page, and if you don't want them to be on there, feel free to just let me know that you don't want them on the stream, which is perfectly fine. You just want to show them off. That's brilliant. And make sure though, if you do want them on the stream, I had this earlier on today from Mark, or Commander Kuja on YouTube. He posted a picture. Use the hashtags alright on Instagram, only I can't save the picture from Instagram to put it here. Alright, so if you want me to do it here, it must be on Facebook, where I'm able to then right click and save it, and then do all the stuff that I do with an image before it hits here. Alright, little bit convoluted I know, but I do need to, you know, if you want them there, I need to save it to my computer. You know, simple as that really. So Wayne's going to find out if I did post it onto Instagram. It would be obviously a week ago, so it could be a little bit further below. And don't forget, Wayne, have you got an Instagram yet? Yeah, you need to make sure you're on Instagram as well. But anyway, so what have we done? We've done the shout outs, we've done an intro into the hashtags, and obviously, of course, if you have a look in the chat, you can find out various links to all of my social media. It's also in the description below the video, and if you want to help support the channel, my Patreon's down there as well to help make this sort of thing happen more often. There's something I had a thought of, is that, you know, this is a weekly show of Conquest magazine, but what's going to happen after the show's finished? What am I going to do on my Monday nights? With the help from and support from Patreons, we'll probably come up with something. So we'll get that done as well. But anyway, shall we get on with tonight's show? Don't forget, keep up with the chat. If you got any questions, let me know. If you got any comments, let me know. Or if you want to talk about something completely different, feel free to throw them down there as well. Good evening, Wargamer Viking. welcome to the show this week. We're going to have a look through this magazine and we're going to get cracking with that now. So this is obviously about it's exactly 4 weeks after I had my delivery of 3 magazines. So we can fairly rest assured now that I received 4 magazines in this delivery. Obviously I only open one every week. Hopefully, as long as we don't get any delays in deliveries, we should now be nice and steady for 1 magazine every week, and we can really settle into it now. It's only taken them 7 issues to do so, but we should be getting this done. So, as always, I haven't opened anything. I have no idea. I know we got some washers, but I have no idea. With no models in this magazine, with no new models, I have no idea what we're going to be discovering in this book. And then once we've opened it up, we'll have a look through it, and then we'll fill the folder with all the bits of the magazines, and we'll have a look to see how that's organised. And then at the end of the show, we will throw some wash on these 2 models that I am painting up exactly as they're being shown to you in the magazine, and we'll see how they turn out if you follow the magazine along. Now obviously there are videos on the channel the videos on the channel where I show you how I paint, so these are just going to be painted along with the magazine. Wargammer Viking, I made it just in time. You have made it just in time. You haven't really missed anything. Just my usual shout outs and a little bit of a chat beforehand. And I posted the Reaver video, the speed painting review video, on Twitter 6 days ago. Well, I posted the video, or did I post a picture after the show? I'm pretty sure I posted a picture of the Reaver, because I think I had a chat. If I remember rightly, I had I think I commented on it saying something along the lines of a filler show turned it into a 90-minute speed challenge or something, wasn't it? So I'm pretty sure we got it. Okay, never mind. If needs be, at the end of the show I'll have a look at the I'll have a look and I'll take another picture. So let's have a gander at this. We'll open this up, and a little bit of a sneaky peek on the back there, but we'll get to that shortly. Let's open it up. Which, to be fair, I mean, actually, unless you've been living under a rock, most people already know what's coming up until issue number 14, I think, now. Because if I remember, well, issue 7, 8, 9 and 10. So I've got issue number 10. Issue number 10 is released this week. Yeah, so most people know what's coming up reasonably quickly. But, yeah, let's just have a quick look at these. Known Oil and Agrax Earthshade. If you're new to the hobby, trust me, you're going to need this by the gallon. Unfortunately, they only sell them in 24 milliliter bottles, which is a shame. I wouldn't mind having a truck of this stuff parked out the back. Known Oil, Agrax Earthshade. Talent in a bottle is what people say. Let's have a gander at this then. Issue number 7. The making of a Space Marine. Applying shades to your model and expanded rules for your game. Actually, speaking of this, the rules for your game, there was something I was discussing with Wayne the other day. When the magazine run has finished, I may even start a brand new series going through these magazines, focusing on purely the gameplay. Might be new, especially for the really, really new people who've never played a model before. Maybe they didn't collect the magazine. Yeah, it might be. Give me your ideas. What do you think? Going through all of the rule sections 1 week at a time. Obviously not necessarily issue number 1 because there wasn't any games in that one. But from issue number 2, and doing individual videos about what you get in each one of these, and maybe up until, you know, I mean, in moving and shooting for the first one, and doing a video just on that, maybe a whole series of it when the magazine run is finished, of course. And I wouldn't be doing that one live, it would just be videos that you can rewatch over and over again. But let me know what you think. And also, I'm always open to new suggestions about what videos you want to see at all. And I tell you what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to try and move this camera ever so slightly without making you all motion sick, and hope that we can get some sort of image where you can actually see what's going on. Not necessarily move that down, but I want to twist it around so that you can see what's going on. Yeah, that's me. Can we see what's going on? No, that's really not helping at all, is it? Alright, so let's have a look. You'll just have to read it upside down. I didn't really think this one through. I was ready up until yeah, until I just saw that. Anyway, okay, so the making of a Space Marine. Now, if you're new to the hobby, you wouldn't necessarily know that obviously Space Marines are created, they're made, which is nice. So we first, because this is interesting, because so far every single model, every single magazine we've got has been about, you know, the actual model that's come with the magazine. I can't remember which magazine it was that didn't actually have any models in it. But if I remember rightly, that just expanded on some of the lore that we'd already seen. So this is brand new lore. This is, you know, making Space Marines and how they're made, which is nice. And all these are nice. The extra gene seed organs that they've got. I know that a lot of people talk about these, and I can never remember all of them. The secondary heart I know about, and I think they've got a third lung as well somewhere, haven't they? But that's nice. I might actually read some of that and actually learn about it. Space Marine chapters, the realm of Ultramar. So we're still talking about Ultramarines. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Right. Okay. So we're still talking about the Ultramarines here, but it's broken the realm of the Ultramarines down into its smaller sections that it's got. I mean, what is it? The Ultramar is known as that's the first mag without models. Is this really? Is this the first magazine that doesn't have models in it? Huh. Or maybe the one I'm thinking about then was the first one with the repeated Death Guard in it. Right. So we're looking at the. So yeah, this is the realm of Ultramar. So we're still talking about Ultramarines, but we've got a successor chapter now, which is the first non-blue Space Marine that we've seen that they've discussed, which is nice because it now gives you sort of a view, with the exception of that first page in issue number 1, that you can actually now start seeing the different colour schemes that you could possibly be painting your miniatures, which is a bit, it kind of sucks that we're 7 issues in, but yeah, Breath in Outer Space for the third lung. That's working for GW 5 years does too. You remember. Yeah. So, the Silver Templars. Now, if I remember rightly, people were discussing these are the Silver Templars that are actually, they're brand new for this magazine. So, maybe we'll start hearing about those. Oh, here we go. We got some more here. See, I haven't even read this magazine myself, so I'm literally just reading it through as we go through. So more successor chapters of the Ultramarines. And honestly, I don't remember. I don't think I've ever heard of any of these. We got the Genesis chapter, Size of the Emperor, Praetors of Orpheus, and the Silver Skulls, which have a very, if you know your 40k lore, that's a surprisingly very Iron Handsy looking, Iron Warriors looking chapter badge there. And if I remember rightly, wasn't there some chatter about how the Ultramarines may have inherited some of the traitor legions that didn't want to be traitors? So that's interesting. Righty ho, and then we go straight into paints. So, painting with shades, before and after. Yeah, I'm not so sure it really works quite like that, but yeah, okay. Painting with shades. So having a look at shading miniatures help create areas of rich dark colour that enhance the natural shadows on the miniature. This is perfect for capturing detail and creating a sense of depth across the model. With just one or two types of shade, your models will really come to life, which is true. I think I remember talking about how to shade your miniatures, and essentially what I was talking about in there is the fact that, you know, if you look at a car, for argument's sake, because it's such a big thing and it's being lit by the sun, you look at it and you can see the shadows because of how big it is. Whereas when we're talking about something that's only, you know, 28mm tall or just thereabouts, you know, if that's being lit usually by fluorescent lights, the shadow kind of disappears. It doesn't exist because it's all being lit. And that's essentially what the shade's doing, is we're adding the shadows in. You have to create that sense of depth and light, which is interesting enough. And yes, this will help. So we got the Nuln Oil on, usually on, sorry, you know, the lighter colours, maybe these on the silvers, and that's where it's all going. It's pretty much all on the silver. And Agrex Earthshade is the brown shade, so it's the warmer colour of the two. And it goes on your browns, your golds, your reds, certainly for easier stuff, and on the brass for the Death Guard, which we'll get on with shortly. And how to paint with shades. Finished models. Once you apply the shade paints to your Space Marine and Death Guard models, you will notice that the shades have given the metal areas far more definition, really bringing out the detail. We will provide you with other shades in future issues to enhance models even further. You are more interesting in your videos than when you are with me. Oh, thank you very much, Lexi. Right. Yeah, so we're going to get some more shades, which is nice. We'll definitely be getting things like Reichland Flesh Shade for fleshy areas of the skin, and hopefully we'll get a couple of others maybe. Careful application of shade paints highlights on the detailed metallic areas on your Plague Marines. This is especially noticeable since they have so many prominent metallic areas like the rims of their shoulder pads. Right. See, the other thing as well, what we're going to be getting, I'm sure we're going to be getting at some point, will be layer paints and highlight paints to, you know, because once you put the shade on, it will knock the colours back to being quite dull, and no doubt they'll give us some more colours later on to bring the shine back to those areas. So what have we got? A new mission. Recover the Gene Seed. Space Marine Gene Seed is key to the creation of new Space Marines. Oh, I like how they've tied in this game with the fluff that they gave us earlier on. The Space Marines must return to battle on the cargo deck and retrieve a crate of Gene Seed material before the Death Guard can reach it. The Death Guard aim to claim the precious Gene Seed for themselves, using it in their foul experiments to create new warriors for their pestilent legion. Lieutenant Calcius and a unit of Reavers fight their way onto the cargo deck and head for their precious objective. Opposing them are a band of Plague Marines and a horde of Poxwalkers intent on claiming the Gene Seed for the Death Guard. Well, that's interesting. I'm not necessarily going to look at the mission itself too much, but I don't know if we've seen Falling Back. I don't know if we've seen Falling Back as a in one of the magazines yet. So there again, they're adding new rules to it. So we're having a look. So this is the how to actually play the mission for the secure the Gene Seeds. We set up a single objective marker, and it's basically a race to get to it, I'm sure. Yeah, so it's first to get to the objective marker, and then, you know, drag it back, and maybe if you kill the unit, they drop it. Oh, here we go. Hang on a minute. Replay the extra rules here, and we've got plasma gun here now. If I remember rightly, it gave us extra rules for the plasma gun last time out, didn't it? If we have a gander at this issue number 6. Yeah, here we go. Oh, there's back pages falling off of that one again. So we've got the rapid fire plasma gun here. So they're adding now. Not only did they have, they had the plasma gun elsewhere, didn't they? About how to shoot it on a 1 or a 2, or no, I don't think it did. So it gave us the plasma gun with the rapid fire rule in issue number 6. Yeah, here we go. So they're adding the so the plasma gun here is telling you that you can 2 shots up to 12 inches. You roll a 2 to wound, and then if you roll a 1, it explodes. Whereas on this one, the next issue along, is telling you it wounds on a 2, your enemies can save it on a 6, and then explodes on a roll hit of on a 1. Issue number 2, was that with the plasma gun? Did he have the plasma gun on there? Yes, he did. Here we go. So it's got the yes. So it kind of, so the rules are kind of starting to stack up, but it's only giving you it in simple bite-sized chunks. So the plasma hits, obviously, to start with, it wounds on a 2, and if you hit a 1, it explodes. The second issue that it turns up in, it means you get 2 shots if you're within 12 inches. You wound on a 2, and 1, it explodes. And then in issue number 7, it's telling you wounds on a 2, you can save it on a 6, and it explodes on a 1. So it's I do think that they've done a really decent job of kind of adding these up nice and slowly. They're building you up to it nice and slowly without kind of throwing every rule at you. And then of course the usual subscribe to the model, and then we'll have a look. As most of you already know, issue number 8 is the Primaris Librarian, so the second character for the Space Marine Army. And then issue number 9 is the second repeat for the Death Guard, which is the Poxwalkers, which, yeah, I really don't understand why they didn't give the Death Guard some more a character. It doesn't really make too much sense. It does seem like, it feels like, you know, the Space Marines, without having actually played the missions in this rule, in these books, it does feel like the odds are stacked in the Space Marines' favour. But maybe if you go through them, if you actually go through the actual missions, it might not work that way. Just generally, the amount of bodies that the Death Guard get can possibly offset the lieutenant that the Space Marines have got. But then with a Primaris next week, it does seem like it's stacked in their favour. So issues 1 to 7. So we'll get on with that in just a minute. We'll get them separated into the folder in just a second. And speaking of which, we'll have a look at it. And again, I haven't even opened this yet, so we'll open it up. And you had a question, didn't you, about this, Wayne, about whether the map was any good on the inside cover. And we'll have a look at that. But before we do, we'll have a look at this little thing that we've got going on here, which is the dividers. I've never actually pointed them out. They are played up to issue 4 with my boys, and the Marines win 99% of the time. Yeah. Which, to be fair, I mean, you don't really want that, do you? You kind of want to feel that it's 50-50. You know, you don't want them stacked in the Marines' favour the whole time. Good evening, Maurice. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I saw a quick peek from a weirdo. Oh, alright then. Alright, so I don't know if I've actually mentioned this before, but we can see that there are 4 different colours along the side here: collect, build, paint and play. Many other people possibly have already pointed this out as well, that in the top corner here, if I can stop it from shining, where's my light, if I get it over here, in the top here we got a red section here, which is about the history and the fluff, and there's quite a lot of it in issue number 1. And then we've got the blue section, which is for the build, and we've got the yellow section for painting, and then of course for the entire missions section we've got the green section down here, which is nice, which means we can separate all of these out into the different sections and make them nice. Oh, here we go, this is interesting. Right, so on the inside cover, here we go, we've got the section 1, 40k, the history, the domains, the war zones, the battle zones and the factions. And then if we have a look here, we have history 1, history 2, we've got Space Marine chapters 1, which is down here, and in section 2 with the Space Marines we've got chapters, heroes, warriors, war machines and war gear. And then down here we have Death Guard in section 3, which is, oh, this is interesting, this is going backwards and forwards, look. So you can't really read it here very well, but so when you're going through it, I'll go through all the videos. This is what I mean, it's going to be quite a packed one today. I'll go through it all and show you which one's which, but we've got history 1 and 2, which is fine, so that goes under section 1 under here. Space Marine chapters is down here, and then we go Space Marine chapters 2, which is here, and then Space Marine 40k battles is back up here into section 1. So we're going to have to go backwards and forwards a little bit, putting them in the right order. That's if you want to put them in this order and don't just tear them out of the magazine and put them in. Space Marines down to warriors again in section 2. And then we go on to the blue section, so we'll just have a quick look at that, see if there's so we got this, the blue section is build. We'll have a look at here. So we got this is going to be fairly simple: Space Marines, Death Guard and scenery, which we do know. I do know that scenery is not too far in the future. I think that's issue number 14 as we get our first bit of scenery, which I believe is a container and some barrels and some boxes. So, and if you've been keeping an eye on my Instagram and my Facebook, you've seen that I've been trying to smash out some scenery ready for my game with Reese tomorrow. I mean, I had a quick peek at the folder Friday night at the gaming club from a weirdo, not you. Oh well, I didn't think you were calling me a weirdo, but yeah, fair enough. We'll have a look at the folder in a minute. The painting section, let's have a look at that, which are, again, this is nice and simple. We've got how to paint, we got the section on Space Marines, a section on Death Guard and a section on scenery, which is nice and simple. And then how to play is the green section, and so again, a fairly simple tutorial, rules, Space Marines and Death Guard. I'm not sure why Space Marines and Death Guard are split up, so we'll have to have a look at those in a bit. So we'll have a look at that as we start to split it apart. And yeah, you'll see it on Saturday at the Weagles as well, because I will bring the entire kill zone with me. So if I haven't quite got it finished in time for tomorrow night's game, it should be finished in time for the game at the Weagles. So does this come free with any subscription? I believe it doesn't come free. If I remember rightly, I'm not sure if I've got any of the T's and C's handy, but I believe you have to actually pay. It does come with the subscription, and you do have to pay for it. But I believe it comes with any of the subscriptions, but you pay for it. I don't have the T's and C's handy, so I can't double check that. But I think every so many deliveries, which off the top of my head I want to say it's every 5th delivery, which is every 20 magazines, you pay an extra £5 or £7 on top of your subscription to get a folder. I think, I can't, don't quote me on that. It's in the T's and C's somewhere. But it does come with any of the subscriptions. I do have a premium subscription, but we haven't actually received any of the premium gifts yet. I believe the first premium delivery is the 5th delivery, I think, which this is delivery number 3. So we'll have a look at that. I do want to have a, I'm going to go through the through this picture again later on at the end of the episode, or towards the end of the episode. So what we're going to do now is, I think what we should do is we're going to split these up. Yes, it does. Anyone's 4th delivery. Because I got a normal basic sub. If it's free, it's been brilliant. If not, I'll put mine in a normal binder. You've only had 1 delivery so far, right? That's really, yeah. The problem is, right, Hatchet Parks Works. They come out with some really good stuff. Now, obviously, they're doing the. I'm currently collecting the Warhammer Legend collection hardback books, and generally they've got some really good stuff. The problem is their organisation and them as a company suck. So you do have to put up with a lot of stuff. All the info is on the other side of the... Well, the thing is, this is the poster. A lot of this is just selling you the stuff, as opposed to really giving you any kind of information. Most of the information, if you actually want to find out details, you'd have to look at their website. But yeah, I mean, Hatchet Parks, they got some really good stuff, and I don't think the folder is free, but I don't know. I don't think you can actually opt out of buying the binder as well. You'd have to have a look at the website. I couldn't really tell you, but it will be under some of their sections. Well, I don't actually collect their the collections book. I don't actually collect the collection books from Hatchet. I've been getting them from my local newsagents because I wasn't 100% sure I could finish doing them either. So I'm up to date with them. I've just been collecting, so I haven't actually received any of the free gifts. Just got kind of Betrayer and Collection Edition. It's such a great read. I haven't been reading them, to be honest. I'm collecting them in a minute, but I will be. I will read them eventually. But I'm still waiting for issue for book 3 in that collection. I've got a feeling that book 3 won't turn up until the 80th, which means I won't be able to read them all the way through. I know that they're not being released in the same order they were published, but I want to read them 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Apparently they've put them in an order that is a good read, so I have a subscription for the novels, and the girls are nice. Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure I could keep up with the subscription. And to be fair, this is pretty much the same price, isn't it? It's a little bit more expensive, but I don't know. I kind of missed out on that to get it from Hatchet, so I just get it from my news agents. So I'm gonna split this up. I tell you what, I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these. I'm gonna separate all of the binders here. I don't know why I'm separating all 4 of them. I could have just done one of them and done them one section at a time. Get rid of that little bit of glue off the edge there. It is nice that they've done it this way. I mean, I do remember I used to do cake decorating, And I used to get one of their magazines, and the trouble is with that, it was one of those binders that had a blue thing, a plastic thing inside, and you have to stick the magazines into the binders themselves, and it was a nightmare. Whereas this, I do like it this way. I mean, we'll probably have to keep an eye on the little ring things, but so we'll separate those up, and just before we start filling it in, we'll have a look at the map. Wayne, do you know if the magazine is going off the shelves from now, or are you still selling it? It's a tankard, coasters, bookends, and a notebook. I got the bookends from Reese, because you started doing the... Reese was collecting the books to begin with and cancelled her subscription and didn't want the bookends because they were too chaosy for her. So I have the bookends. I would have liked the tankard. The tankard looked nice, but and I missed out on them, to be honest. So website says all gifts are free, included folders, handle, A2 poster, and brushes. Oh, brilliant! So I'm not paying extra for the folders. I don't know where I thought I read that then. So before we move on, if anybody has any questions about the inside of this thing, I think, Wayne, you actually wanted to know something about this, about what the quality of this was like, or anything in particular. It does seem to be fairly reasonably detailed. We have some of the more important ones. We got Baal, obviously, very important. Fenris over here. We got Nocturne, Rin's World. What else have we got here? Desperation, I love that one. McCragg's all the way down here. I thought McCragg was kind of the other side. Here we go, let's have a gander at this. Here we go. It's a shame about the ring binder here, right slap bang in the centre of it. But it's reasonable enough. That's brilliant. I got the free stuff for the books. The tankard is awesome, especially when full of beers. I think I would have probably just left the tankard on my shelf, to be honest with you, but yeah, it's a fairly reasonable map. Not really sure what to say about it, really. I was fairly certain that McCragg wasn't all the way down here. It's somewhere closer to this area. But I'm terrible at geography anyway. Even if it's terrestrial geography, I'm terrible at it. But, you know, website also says subscription gifts are only available to those beginning collection with issue 1, 2, 3 or 4. There is that as well, yep. I forgot about that little condition that they stuck in that. Can you still get the subscription for issue number 1? So that's where they make the blue paint on McCragg. Oh yeah, all the blue paint is all made on McCragg. Shipped over. All the red paint is made on Baal as well up here. Or on that tiny little orc planet nearby, because, you know, red ones go faster. But so yeah, we got some of the big ones anyway. We got the Ultramarines. Rin's World, I don't know what that is. It looks like Imperial Fists. I don't know. Is that Imperial Fists or not? It's definitely one of the fist icons. We got Nocturne for the Salamanders, the Rock up here for the Dark Angels, Fenris for the Space Wars, Baal for the Blood Angels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of the loyalist chapters, and a little bit of fluff as well, just to let you tell you what it's all about. And this is from the latter half of the Indominus Crusade. So Fenris doesn't make blue-grey because it doesn't exist. Ah, there are no rules. There are no rules on Fenris. We all know that. So yeah, I think it's a reasonable looking map. And then unfortunately though, you're going to end up filling it full of magazines, so you're really not going to be able to see it very well. You don't get the joke. No, well, you know, you'll have to read some of the fluff, Lexi. Okie dokie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by separating all of the red pages from the magazines. Nice and simply, just tear them out. So even now you can still start with issue number 1. Well, I suppose that's reasonably decent of them. Right, I want to make sure that I don't get confused, so I'm going to alternate me magazines. And so we're just separating all of the red sections from the magazine now. It's nice and easy actually. You just go through it, flick through, look for it, and then just tear it out. Which is, haha, he says, and then gets stuck on this one. There we go. They're all just being glued together. They come apart really easily. Ish. At which point all of you hear an almighty rip. Right, and what I'm going to do is I'm also going to get rid of all of the front covers because we're not going to need those anymore. Now that we have a folder to put these in, so I'm going to get rid of all of the front covers. Yeah, the website now has a breakdown of what's coming in your first, second and subsequent deliveries. About time. Ah. I think I might have to go and have a look at the website myself. Maybe make some notes so that it sounds like I actually know what I'm talking about. Alright, so that's the front covers all taken off. So what we can do is we can start having a look through. So there's a fairly reasonable wad of pages for your history and your fluff. I'll just tear off some of this glue. Hopefully make it a little bit easier to pull apart. I don't know, there's something quite satisfying with pulling the glue off the edge here. First delivery, the modelling kit plus issue 1 and 2. Yeah, the modelling kit, the waste of time. The worst modelling kit I've ever seen. Second delivery is 4, 5 and 6. Ah, right, okay. Oh, with your first delivery you get free issue number 3 as well, don't you? Okie dokie, so I'm going to bring this back in here. Open that up there. And don't forget, this is where we've got the information about in what order we're supposed to put these in. So in section 1 we've got the history, domains, war zones, battles and factions. So if I go through and I look for the history, I'll do the history first. It should make life a little bit more easier if we go in section by section. So I'm looking for anything that is written as history. Whoops, I'm out of shot over here. So I'm just going through here and I'm just going to look for anything that's written with history, so that we can make sure that we get all of that written, all of that down in the right order, making sure we don't miss anything. It doesn't appear that we've actually got any more history in there. We've got two. There doesn't seem to be a lot of history. Nope, which is fine. So I'll put those to one side for a minute before I put them into the magazine, because the next one down is domains. I'm not so sure if there's any domains here. I don't think I've ever seen anything saying domains, not unless the bit that we just saw about Macragge is a domain, but I don't think so. Nope. War zones, yeah, I haven't seen anything with war zones either. So we can see there's plenty to come at some point. Oh, domains. Number 1 is Death Guard domains. Oh, I missed that one. Oh, there we go. Plague Planet is domains. If needs be, we can always slot them in where they belong if we've got anything left over. What are we looking for at the minute? War zones. Haven't seen any war zones. And their battles. Yeah, there wasn't any battles, was there? Oh, battles number 1 was about the battle for Luna. So that's pulled out to one side. Space Marine Warriors, the War Gear. Space Marine Battles number 2 is the War on Taraval, about the Necrons. Battle number 3, Nova Thulium, from a couple of weeks ago. I think it would be interesting actually, even for even for old hats to the hobby, to have all of these things separated. You know, there's 3 separate battles written in the fluff. Now, obviously, I'm not so sure whether they're going to be particularly friendly towards, you know, older fluff, and it's all going to be about Primaris stuff, which does seem to be taken over from all the other stuff. I have a feeling that older Marines aren't going to be made anymore. Everything's going to be Primaris until we forget about them. You know, everything's Primaris until we forget about the older Marines, and then, oh, they're no longer available anymore. I have a feeling that that's the way it's going to go. Alright, so we're now down to section 2, which is the chapters. Space Marine chapters number 1, Space Marine chapters 2 is at the top there. You know, and we're still going through, make sure that we don't miss any of the Death Guard. Space Marine chapters 1.1. Well, that's okay. Space Marine chapters 2.3. Space Marine chapters 2.1. Well, that's interesting. So I imagine that we're going to mix that up from the magazine that we've just opened. So the making of a Space Marine, successor chapters of the Ultramarines, and domains, the realm of Ultramar, Space Marine chapters 2.3. Well, that's bizarre. So we're actually mixing up the pages. They haven't given us the pages in the right order. So that's interesting. Right. So we've done the chapters. Now we're going on to Space Marine Heroes, which I think will probably be the only one for this one. Will be Space Marine Lieutenants is Heroes number 5. Lieutenant Calcius is Hero 5.1. Huh. Okie dokie. I imagine, you know, it seems a little bit confusing at the moment, but I imagine as we start packing these magazines out, yeah, they'll start making a little bit more sense. Space Marine Warriors. Space Marine Warriors 1 is in the Intercessors, which was the first issue. And the Reavers from issue number 3. Space Marine Warriors. Oh, Space Marine Wargear. No, we don't want that, do we? We're looking for Warriors. Which, again, it's Intercessors and Reavers so far. So that's just the 2 for now at the minute. So that obviously will be differentiating between the different unit types. And then the Wargear, which was the power weapons. Oh no, Wargear 1 is the Reaver Wargear. Right, I'm getting a bit confused now. Right, here we go. Right, Wargear. Wargear 2 is the power weapons. I can't wait to go all my magazines and sort them out on my Wargame OCD. Yeah, if I don't do it now, I probably never would. So I'm certainly going to do it as soon as I can. So we've done all of the Space Marine stuff. So now we're moving on to the Plague Marine stuff. I did just see something about Death Guard. That was Death Guard domains, which is why that's not supposed to be there. This is literally just the Loyalist stuff, and we'll go through it shortly and we'll have a look at what it looks like once it's sorted. So section 3 is the Death Guard. So we start with the Legion, which is Death Guard, Legion 1, which is fine. Legion 3, 3.1, Legion 2, so we'll change that around. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Ah, didn't we point this out last week? Or at some point, that we've got 2 pages exactly the same. Pallid Hand, Mouldering Claw. Colours of content. Ah, now. Right. Well, that's helpful. Hi, Underdog. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you, Lexi. Nearer the end, I get a teeny weeny bit boring. To be honest, which issue are they from? I'm not sure, but they're definitely. I imagine that they're both from the Plague Marines. Now this is different. This is interesting because the Colours of Contagion, they're both written Legion 3. But actually knowing which way round to put them is going to be a little bit complicated. They are different. They do have different information on both pages, but you don't actually know which way to put them in. So I'm just going to guess 3.1 is there. So why don't they do the easy thing and number the pages? Well, that would have made sense, wouldn't it? I mean, a lot of the other ones have got 3.1, 3.2, you know, that sort of thing, so you can kind of tell what's going on, but I don't know. Right, so that should be the section of the section of Space Marines all done. Sorry, the selection of the collection part. So we're going to slot that in there. Now we'll see how well that they've done the hole punching and realise that it's actually not quite lined up perfectly. And I'm trying to put them all in one go. Do one more, Alexis. Be time for bed. Yeah, I reckon it probably will do. Keeps taking the mickey out of me. Righty-ho. So, section on... so, we start with the collection section. And I'm hoping... I don't know, maybe we'll only get 4 magazines, and that would be good. We'll have one for collect, one for build, one for paint, one for play. That would be nice. So, here we go. So, we start with the history, which is nice. History 1 and 2. So, I mean, to be fair, History 1 is talking about the 41st millennium at the Indominus Crusade. Well, most of it. I don't think that they're going to go far back. So, I don't think they'll go too far back with the fluff, so it might just be from, you know, Primaris onwards. So we got a little bit of history. Now obviously that will probably pad out eventually in the future. We'll have a couple of battles, which, I mean, all of this information we've already seen in all the magazines. We'll just go through and see how it reads once it gets put together. So we go through a few battles, so you have some nice stories, basically, the little one-page stories about the various battles and who was fighting and stuff, which would be nice. So we go into the chapters, so mentioning that there are more than one chapter, and then talking about the Ultramarines, and that's as far as we've got so far. Making of the Space Marines, so we say, you know, how to make the Space Marine, which is fair enough, I suppose, you know. Successive chapters of the Ultramarines, the Realm of Ultramar. Fair enough. I mean, it reads fairly reasonable. Obviously, maybe once it's padded out, it'll be reasonable. So we start with lieutenants, and then actually name one of the lieutenants. Hopefully we'll have some more than Ultramarines, and we'll see some other lieutenants around the universe. And then going down in the ranks into the intercessors and the reavers, and we got some aggressors coming up in just a few magazines time. Start going through the war gear. So we start with the Reaver war gear. Interesting enough, we didn't get an intercessor war gear. Have you noticed that? We're going straight into Reaver war gear as opposed to having intercessor war gear first. But we will have more intercessors in the future, so maybe it'll be then. We'll see. I mean, this is war gear 1 and war gear 2, so it will have to slot in as war gear 3, so it won't read in the same order. But we got the power weapons, and then we move on to the Death Guard and the Legion. Theoretically, hopefully it'll start telling us about the other traitor legions as well. Because I'm hoping, I'm really hoping that this magazine isn't just going to turn around and just all of a sudden only be a magazine about Space Marines and Death Guard. You know, hopefully we're going to have, you know, I mean, it's early days, it's only 7 of 80, but hopefully we'll have a whole section somewhere on here about, no, we won't, will we? We won't even have sections on orcs. No. There's something that has literally just occurred to me. The sections here is about 40k. Section 2 on what Space Marines are. Section 3 is about what Death Guard are. There's no sections about what demons are. There's no sections about who the Eldar are or the Necrons. That's a little bit disappointing now that I've kind of dawned on me that it's only going to be a magazine run about Space Marines and Death Guard. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. But carrying on anyway. So we got the Death Guard is who they are, and that's where they are. And we go through about what makes up a Plague Marines, or what makes up the armies of them anyway. So we got the Plague Marines, we got the Poxwalkers, and no doubt that will fill up eventually as well. The organisation of the Death Guard, which will be quite interesting to read myself actually at some point. And then the colours of contagion. Take your pick which one you want to have first. I've got actually I've got a feeling that this, you see that, okay, so let's just have a look at these two individual pages, and then perhaps you'll know exactly what order you want to put them in first. So if I read this page number 1, the Death Guard are engaged in battles across the galaxy, often fighting in rogue warbands or small forces known as Vectoriums. These forces often have their own sickly colour schemes. Interesting enough. So the number 2 would be hundreds of individual warbands make up the Death Guard, known as Vectoriums. These forces fight as self-contained armies and have their own colour schemes. It really doesn't have... I'm really not sure which one to do first. Be right back, going to do a show after yours, so going to quickly set that up. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm really not sure which one to do. Yeah, I really don't know which one to do first on that one. If you have any suggestions, or maybe you've done it yourself, feel free to let me know how you did it. But for now, I'm just going to put those two in. That's a little, perhaps it's just an oversight on their part. Anyway, so we're going into the different legions. So these are the different legions themselves. So that will be interesting. We'll see, because I just painted up my guys however I saw fit. It'll be interesting to see. If you look at the videos that I did about painting the Plague Marine, whether my Plague Marine kind of fits into one of the already established warbands, which will be interesting. So that is one there. So there's that bit done, which is nice and simple. That was just, you know, well, reasonably simple by that one section. So the next section is the build section. I did say this was going to be quite a packed episode, didn't I? Of me just organising this out. So we're going to go through again, we're making sure that we've got all of the blue sections done and dusted. So we're going to start with, it's in the order of Space Marines, Death Guard and Scenery. So what I could do is you can go through and picking out all your Space Marine magazines, because there won't be any information on building Death Guard when you're in in a magazine that came with the Space Marines. So we start with Space Marines 1, easy enough. Space Marines 2, Space Marines Heroes 2. Oh, that's interesting. Lieutenant Calcius comes under Space Marine Heroes 2. as opposed to Heroes 1, which is the first hero that we received. To be honest with you, I imagine that the blue section is possibly the most expendable, considering that, you know, are you really going to keep a hold of, you know, do you really need to keep a hold of the building instructions? You hope so, as you're following your painting guide, you're painting following my painting guides. Well, you see, the thing is, actually, to be fair, even if my particular scheme doesn't really follow any predetermined scheme, you know, it doesn't really matter, does it? So here we go. So Death Guard 1, Death Guard 2, and then this is what I'm talking about, the expendable Death Guard 3 being exactly the same as Death Guard 1. Which, was it really necessary? I'm not so sure. But that's the blue section done. It's nice and simple. It's pretty much just popping them into the, just separating them from Space Marines into Death Guard. Alrighty then, so paint organisation. We've got 4 sections here: how to paint, Space Marines, Death Guard and scenery. I imagine that how to paint comes under Space Marines 3, 2 is pretty much under the first episode. Oh no, we've got some other things as well. Right, okay, how to paint with shades. Well, this is helpful. What's going on in the chat here? I'm following the app from now on, but I think it will match your way quite a bit. Reasonably. I use the app as a starting point. My scheme is great, so I'm probably going to use it for my entire Death Guard army. Absolutely. I don't see why not. But I think one should paint them however they see fit. Oh, absolutely. Definitely. You know, to be honest with you, you know, painting is painting is just as personal as the army that you choose to paint. You know, that you don't yeah, it's kind of like, you know, you don't pick an army because somebody else chose it. You pick an army because you like it, not because, you know, you think that, you know, you think it's a good, you know, you don't paint it just because you, yeah, I think, yeah, I lost the train of thought on that one, but yeah, you don't, yeah, the colour scheme you use is a personal thing, and, yeah, I know what I'm trying to say. Okay, so the building and paint, the painting is a little bit more complicated, and so I'm just having a look through now, trying to figure out. I think the trouble is with the paint and stuff, it's all over the place because, you know, the way that they've done the books. Yeah, this is problematic. I'm having a look. Right, so Space Marines 1 was how to paint the intercessors. I think, I remember. A thought has come up. Will that one folder fit all 80 magazines? No, it won't. There will be more than... it says on the website somewhere how often you'll get a magazine, and I want to say it's every 5th delivery, which is every 20 magazines. Which would probably seem about right. If that's the case, unfortunately, I was hoping that you'd fit, you know, one section in each book, in each magazine, so you'd have the history in one folder, well, you'd have the red section in one folder, the blue section in another, the yellow section in another, and the green section in one of the others. If you're getting a delivery every 5th magazine, every 5th delivery, every 20 magazines, you're going to end up having, you know, Yeah, but 20 magazines per folder. I'm not sure. At one point, I do want to give them something personal. Do not know what. Honestly, Tim, your painting will evolve as you get used to it, and as you get much more natural to it. You will evolve naturally, and all of a sudden you'll find that you stop using any of the apps. You just start looking at the colours, and then start going, oh, this is interesting, and then just roll with it. That might be where I read the extra folders section. I can't, honestly, I cannot remember I cannot remember how to the information about the folders. I really should go back and have a look, and perhaps if I have a look this week and remind me about that next week, because I'll put the I will be doing the doing this again, obviously putting the new magazine into the folder. Paint with shades, paint with non-oil, paint with Agrex earth shades. Right. Paint with shades, paint with shades. Right, okay, so that's a section on painting with shading, which is one thing. Right, okay, I can understand that. That must come under how to paint. Paint base lead belcher. Right. This is Death Guard 3, which we'll leave that. That's Death Guard 1. Death Guard 2. Death Guard 2 is Poxwalkers as well. Right, okay, let's tear that off. That fits under there. Death Guard 2 is Bugman's Glow on the Poxwalkers. Death Guard 2. Paint with base is Bugman's Glow. Right, okay. That's the Poxwalkers, so we're going to fit them together there. Okie dokie. So we have how to paint Plague Marines, which is here. Clean off some of the glue later. I have a feeling. Now, obviously, don't forget, I will go through this once I'm doing this on the fly, and so I will go through it once I've figured out an order. I will go through it again in just a few moments to show you what I've done, and hopefully it will make sense. There is hope. I have trouble putting the right colours together. That is why I let my girlfriend pick out the colours in our house. My apartment was boring as hell. Have a look, Tim, at something called colour theory. It's more complicated than it would first appear, but colour theory will help you pick colours that go together. You could pay for things like college courses and so on and so forth, but the Wikipedia would set you right easy enough. Yeah, colour theory. It explains what a colour wheel is and what colours can and cannot go together and why, and how to differentiate between colours that clash and colours that sort of complement each other, and also the different what colour temperature means. Yeah, so have a look at colour theory. You could go deep into it, but on the whole, you should get a nice basic understanding about why red and orange go together, and why you paint a blue and green or blue and yellow together, about being opposing colours on the wheel and so on and so forth. Yeah, I don't really understand colour theory too well, but you can get a basic idea. On top of just painting lots and lots and lots of colours and models, you gradually build up a reasonable understanding about what you can and can't do with colour. And it's not that you can and can't do it, it's just what is comfortable and what can sometimes put you a bit out of whack when you look at something. Colour theory, we'll look at that. GW had a video on it. Yeah, definitely. Did they? I don't remember them doing that, but yeah. Have a look at colour theory. You know, you could... I mean, people will spend thousands going to college to understand colour theory in all its minute detail. But if you have a basic understanding about how some colours can and cannot work together without being uncomfortable, you can kind of understand, you know, better. Yeah. So, yeah. And then, you know, you'll gradually grow into it. Okie dokie. So, I think I've come up with a reasonable order for this painting. I did see somebody have a comment about how this is supposedly put together, and it's not brilliant because these are not numbered very well. So here we go. So to start with, we've got the base. Let's move the folder ever so slightly. I've got paint base, and this one says lead belcher, and we've got paint base Bugman's glow. And then we've got how to paint with shades. It's a cover sheet. Now, we didn't get how to paint with base coats or base paints or anything like that, unless of course I've missed it, but I don't think I have. I think all of these are now tutorials, which I'll go through in a minute. So I hopefully will get a how to base coat page at some point, even though I know somewhere there's a base coat about how to base coat your Space Marines. But anyway, and then we've got how to paint with shades, shade with known oil, Agrax Earthshade, paint with shades again. Hang on a minute, what's this? This is once you've applied shades to your Space Marine, you will notice that the shades, how to paint with shades to finished models. I have a feeling actually that I think I would much prefer the that page there to sit, even though it's about finished models. I think I would much prefer it to sit above the individual colours. I might change my mind in the future, maybe, if we've got something that sits right, and I'll keep going through this. I won't go through the entire book every time we add pages to it. I think off camera I'll have a look through it and see if it reads well enough. And then we've got how to paint your intercessors with Space Marines #1, and then how to paint your Reavers, Space Marines #3, and then Space Marines #2 is your Reavers with the base coat of blue, and then Space Marines 3 is Lieutenant Calcius, which is going right the way through it. I have a funny suspicion. Okay, so you see how the Reavers have got base coat, Abaddon black. Oh, you can't see it very well. Abaddon black and Retributor armor. I have a feeling that in the future, when we get some more Reaver models or more ways to paint, we'll get other pages for this Space Marines 2, which will extend how to paint these Reavers a little bit further than what they are. Or we could even get them in magazines that we don't actually have models to finish. What time does my show finish? To be honest with you, it's whenever people have enough of me. I usually end up heading towards about 8 o'clock. Is when I usually tend to finish. but sometimes I'll run over a little bit. I've just got this last section here to do. Well, I'm going through this. I've got the tutorial section to do, and then I'm just going to throw some wash on these before we close out the show. So I'm not really going to be jabbering on for much longer. We have Lieutenant Cassius with Space Marine 3 all the way up to finishing his hair and his face, and then into the Plague Marines, which is the Death Guard 1. This is interesting. Death Guard 1 into Death Guard 2, and then How to Paint Poxwalkers, which is also Death Guard 2, which and then back to Plague Marines with Death Guard 3. I tell you what, you guys are going to have to come up with your own solutions to that, because the painting section does not seem to make much sense at all. Not really. Okie dokie, so sweet, I'm going to start my show at 8, so I'll say bye now. Thanks for the money, and look forward to seeing more live shows and videos. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much indeed. And enjoy your show. I might pop in a bit and have a look myself. So, the next section is the play organisation and how to play the game. So, I'm going to put these magazines in order. We've got Tutorial Mission 1, Tutorial Mission 3, Tutorial 1 Playing, Tutorial Mission 2. I imagine that's the way in which the books will go. But first of all, we've got Section 1 is Tutorial, Section 2 is Rules, Section 3 is Space Marine, Section 4 is Death Guard. So Tutorial first, and that's the back cover, which we can start getting rid of as well. And so, Tutorial Mission 1, Tutorial 2 Moving, Tutorial 3, Tutorial Replay Mission, Tutorial Mission 2, Tutorial 4. Well, this is really complicated, trying to figure out how you want to do this. Right, so first of all, so you need to read these. So Tutorial 1 is Playing, and Tutorial Mission is separate, because then we've got Tutorial 2 for Moving, Tutorial 3, and then we have the Replay Mission 1, which I will put separately as well. Then we have Tutorial Mission 2, over to Tutorial 4 for Charging, Tutorial 5 is Fighting, and Replay Mission 2, which I will put separately. Mission 3 we'll put over there. Tutorial 6 is the units, which we'll put Tutorial 6 over there, and get rid of the back page. Mission 4 we'll put over here. Tutorial 7 and Replay Mission 4. Mission 6, Tutorial 9. Here we go. So hopefully this is going to start making sense once we put them in order. Hopefully we'll be able to understand what's going on. Now, I did notice that was tutorial 8 and 9, Replay Mission 5, Replay Mission 6. So I put those in the wrong order. Right. So get rid of some of this glue that's still stuck to the side of these magazines. I'll probably go through there another time and get all of them off. So them in there. They're not very well punched, so some of them are a little bit out of whack. So, tutorial mission 1 and tutorial replay mission 1. Now, what do you think? Would you put the replay next to the mission, or would you put them all at the back? I have a funny feeling that you might want to leave those together, wouldn't you? So you'd want mission 1 with the replay next to it, because then you can keep which mission you're on. See, I'm thinking about this for the future as well, is that when I do that series of videos that I wanted to do, I can do the replays as well as the... Oh, what have I just done? I'm trying to talk at the same time and get myself confused. So tutorial mission 2, replay mission 2. So we want mission 3, and then... Oh, there isn't a replay for mission 3. Ah, because it's just a straight up mission. Mission 4. Yeah, when I do that series of videos, I can just go through these as they come out, and then we can do the replay at the same time as doing the standard video. So here we go, and there we go. That's the magazine organised then up to issue number 7. So we'll just have a quick look through this. So we have the rules. So we have the moving tutorial, shooting, charging, fighting, and then we've got different types of, what units are, some more about what units are, the characters in the game, tutorial 8, units revisited. So going back to the unit special rules, units in the charge phase, and then falling back. Excellent. And then we got the falling back, so we got the basic game, then add some fighting to it, adding new units to it, adding a hero to it, and then some special rules, just adding on to all of the rules bit by bit, and theoretically you'll be able to play 40k when you're finished. Excellent. So that's the magazines organised. It's looking reasonable. Hopefully the pages won't fall apart over some time, because it is only a ring binder after all. So are we going to start seeing all these bits tearing away? Which I hope not, because it would really suck. But then while we're here, we'll get on with the shades for doing the models. I'm not going to open these because I already have 2 already open. I have been doing this sometimes. Sometimes I've been cheating and using the paints I've already had open, rather than opening up fresh new ones. So I'll go back to my Citadel starter brush. I am going to keep trying to do this with these magazines. It's this one that I'm going to use though. I am going to try and paint these models using only what's available to us at the time. So now is the time where I'm going to start shading these models. Do we shade the armor? We don't shade the armor, which I'm curious about. It's not telling us to do that. So we'll go through just painting the metallic bits as it's telling us to. And shade is nice and simple if you haven't done it before. If you're watching maybe a brand new painting, it's, yeah, just put the paint onto the model. Just make sure it doesn't pool. That's the most important part. If you've got big puddles of shade, it's going to look naff. But if you can keep it nice and smooth, then should be good enough. There we go. So let's bring him up here. Let's get the focus done, because I don't like using the autofocus because it never seems to work very well. There's the focus. There we go. And just shade that. Make sure we haven't any pools of shades going on. And there we go. Lovely. Just like that. We'll grab the Plague Marine and grab him as well. Let's bring him up here so you can see what I'm doing. Make sure that we get all of the silver nice and simply. They can have quite a bit of metallic to them, so make sure we go along all of it. So while I'm quickly throwing some wash down as well, is I'm open to some suggestions to other shows for the future. Maybe other series of live shows, or series of videos that people would be interested in watching. I know Reese was asking for a masterclass, so me painting my absolute best rather than teaching people per se. But I'll be interested to hear what people think, whether it's a live show once I've cleared one of my well, it would be the Monday show. I know people enjoying the Tuesday night show, which will be on tomorrow with me and Reese playing Kill Team. We've got some plans for that, so you won't have to watch me move the camera all the time. Masterclass for the win. You see, the thing is, with that is a case of, you know, is it me just showing off? Is that what that is? Is just doing the best I can, and just painting something as absolutely amazingly and sometimes even as convoluted as possible. Pop the Agrax Earthshade on the warm colours. Some of that colour temperature lingo for you, Tim. Follow it around. Models are a little bit dusty actually sat on my shelf. Not really doing a lot for the last couple of weeks. Bring up the Death Guard model and grab those goldy bits. I really should wait for the Nuln Oil to dry before moving on to the Agrax around this model, but it should be alright. A video on colour theory. Well, to be honest with you, I don't know enough about colour theory myself. I have such a basic understanding, and literally if I did a video on colour theory, it would probably just be about copying somebody else's video. Honestly, I don't have enough knowledge myself. In fact, everything I could tell you about colour theory, I could probably tell you during this live show of what's left of it. Warm colours, if you look at a rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and you put those in a line and then bring it back and back on itself into a colour wheel. The colours above green are warm, red, orange and yellow, they're warm. Colours green, blue and purple are cold. Colours next to each other tend to complement each other very well, and sometimes colours that are opposite each other on that colour wheel tend to be reasonably complementary as well. And to be honest with you, that's probably about the extent of my colour theory knowledge. But with that basic understanding, you should be able to build a reasonably well coloured, you know, you'd be able to do a reasonable job of painting whatever you want, following those very, very basic rules. So that's the wash applied. It won't be dry by the time I finish this show, so I'll pop a post up on Instagram for that. One thing I wanted to have a look at just before we ended the show is the premium subscription, because we've got this, and this is what I'm interested in. Me and Wayne, I was having a chat with Wayne earlier on, either today or yesterday, I can't remember quite when, and this is what I'm talking about. I am looking forward to this. This is the game board that we're going to get. Now, it could be one of two things. One, I think it's probably a Killzone board. But having said that, now that I've seen this picture again, the Killzones don't have terrain printed onto them. So it might not be a Kill Team board. But we have a look. This is very, very thick. Now, that could be either it's thick card and it's not a very big game board, possibly a size of a game board we've already got, or it could be a 6x4 piece of card that's been folded up so many times it's thick. I'm not sure. I was hopeful. I am hopeful that it's going to be a nice thick board, just not very big in terms of, you know, 6x4 feet. It also says on here that the pictures are not to scale. Items may vary. So there's hope. I'm not really too fussed about things like the cards and the tokens. They're just nice, and the dice themselves are all as well. I'm interested to see how big this box is. There are only 4 exclusive premium kits, and then each of them has got a box, dice cards, dice, punch tokens, heavy duty playmat. Are all of them, all 4 of them, going to have all of this in? I'm cautiously optimistic, but we're going to have to see what happens. I don't know when I get a premium subscription package. So we're just going to have to see what happens there. But on the whole, there we go. That's a reasonable, yeah, we've gone through the magazine this week. I mean, it's been quite difficult. It's been quite a big show this week because there was a lot to do. We've had, you know, we had sorting out the magazine and painting. I'm kind of glad we didn't have any models this week, because then I'd have some models to build as well, because I do want to make sure that I keep up with everything that's available. But yeah, I mean, it's looking nice. It's reasonable, and fairly happy with what we're receiving and how we're doing it. Nothing mentioned on the websites about premium gifts. There should be somewhere. I do remember reading something, and I think it's possibly in all of the real fine nitty gritty terms and conditions. You have to go through every single one of them. I did do a lot of reading about the magazines when I was planning on getting it, because I had to convince the wife. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about it anyway. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, and I'll have a look and see if I can have a look. Yeah, you too, Tim. Thank you very much. Yeah, so just before I go though, I would like to do a little bit of showing off. Tomorrow night is my weekly game. No, sorry. Well, it's my weekly game, but it's our bi-weekly stream where we're going to be playing some Kill Team, and I'll give you guys and girls a nice, quick little preview of the terrain that's going to be in that show, shall we? All up here. Let's just quickly change that there. Have a look at that. So this is most of the terrain. It's not quite finished yet. I do have a little bit more to do in terms of cleaning up and tidying up and getting all of those little bits and done. We've got some really nice weathered containers going on here. I'm really liking that. You can have a look at the boxes here as well. But I'm really liking that. And I did a little bit of attempt at OSL on that little thing there. Didn't quite work out quite so good as what I was hoping. But there is, if I can stop hitting everything, there is a bit more over here on that, so I'm quite happy with that. So you see all of this stuff in action tomorrow night on the stream tomorrow night. There's a little bit of peek behind the scenes. There we go. Yeah, the show tomorrow is going to be quite interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys as well. Make sure you see there. Don't forget to tell everybody that we're doing it. Don't forget, you know, if you see any pictures about it, you know, don't forget to hit the share button, hit the like button, do a comment on it, and all that sort of stuff. Every time you interact with any of my posts, it all helps with the various algorithms of social media. And the more people interact with it, it shows up with other people. And obviously, you know, Facebook making sure that, you know, the more trending stuff is seen by more people. Now, I don't expect to be, you know, trending on Twitter anytime soon, but you know, the more it helps in the certain circles that we all use. So yeah, I think that's the end of the show. I think it's been a long one. It's now 8:15, which normally I aim for about 8 o'clock. And I'm going to head over to Warhammer Vikings and check out his channel and see what that is. So I encourage all of you to do the same thing. You know, why don't we go and have a look and see what's going on over there. Thank you all for watching this one. Don't forget all of my links in the description below. If you haven't already had a look at the Patreon, please do so. Just to have a look at it if you're interested. But don't feel obliged to do so. But it would be nice to get some more support so I can do more of these kind of, maybe not necessarily these long shows, but you know, we can get some more content going and get some more interesting stuff so everybody can just enjoy it. Alright? So, yeah, links down below. Feel free to check them out. Don't feel obliged to do so. And that just leaves me to say thank you for watching this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one, alright? Ta-ra.